All right, I'm excited to be sharing with you a flip through of first language lessons for the well-trained mind. This is level 3, and level 3 requires both the teacher's guide as well as a student workbook. And you can see they're pretty thick. They're pretty good size here. So your teacher's guide will be able to be reused multiple times. The student workbook is something that the student is writing in. This curriculum is also available in a PDF version through the Well-Trained Mind website. So that is another option if you are international, live overseas. This is completely in black and white, so it's actually very easy to print off and just use the PDF. So that's an economical option if you live overseas. But I'm excited to share this with you. This is a resource that I appreciate quite a bit. We have used levels 1, level 2, and we'll be going into level 3. I'll give you a little bit of a peek at the table of contents right here. There are roughly, I think 89 normal lessons, and then there's a few separate units. There's a unit on writing letters, a unit on dictionary skills, and a unit on oral usage, which you could put these in periodically throughout the rest of the lessons or just do them all at the end. I think for me, I would probably just do them all at the end since they're at the end of the book. Might as well. Just easy. I'm not someone who overthinks things like that. But so roughly you can probably do about 3 lessons a week to finish up in a school year. Roughly, approximately. This isn't something that you have to be doing every single day. Typically about 3 lessons a week will get it done in a school year, maybe 4 lessons on the occasional week, but it does not have to be a 5-day-a-week thing. So we have our lessons, and you can get a little bit of glimpse at some of the main topics. We're starting out with the parts of a book. So it's kind of an introduction to titles, authors, index, different things like that. Then we go into nouns, and this is review content. Like it says new here. It's new for this lesson, and if you are starting first language lessons for the very first time, it will be new. But nouns are introduced in levels 1 and 2. So if your student has already done previous levels, this will not be a totally new idea for them. And many of these won't be brand new ideas, but we're taking them up a notch. Next, we have forming plural nouns, then forming plurals of words that end in S, SH, CH, X, or Z. So we're going to be adding ES. Then there's some irregular plural nouns, forming plurals of nouns that end in Y. Moving on to common and proper nouns, then pronouns. So you can kind of see how this is just incrementally, each lesson is building on the previous topic. They're just extending and building on that previous lesson a little bit. Then we get to a poem memorization lesson, then action verbs, and it progresses in a similar fashion right there. So with each lesson, you have an incrementally different topic. And I want to introduce you to the 4-strand method, because this is very important for understanding the first language lessons method. And I really appreciate this about their curriculum. They have 4 strands. The first strand is memory work. So throughout this, the 2 forms of memory work you're doing are memorizing poetry and then memorizing rules and definitions. So there's actually a lot of oral work in this program, and that doesn't need to be tedious. It doesn't need to take a super long time, but you and your child are getting the hang of saying these statements and saying and reciting these poems and getting the hang of it, memorizing it. We have really benefited a great deal from memory work in our curriculum, and I appreciate that. The next strand is copy work and dictation. There has been copy work going on in the previous levels as well, but I do think the copy work and dictation levels up a notch in this level 3, roughly 3rd grade level. So if you are unfamiliar with these terms, copy work is when a student is writing out a sentence, copying it completely and exactly, the capital letters, the spelling, the punctuation, and they're reading the sentence, they're copying it, they're reading their own work and making sure it's correct. Dictation is a little bit more challenging from copy work because that's when they are hearing a sentence. You're saying a sentence, they are saying a sentence, repeating the sentence after you, and then they're having to write that down. Picture the words in their mind and then write that sentence down completely and correctly. I will tell you in advance, it can be hard to have the patience for dictation when your child is just getting the hang of dictation, but it is a very valuable practice which is worth the time. They have a technique for doing dictation which you can read about in the guide. Then strand number 3 is narration. Narration is the child learning to orally tell about what they have learned, orally tell about what they have read or something that they have heard, putting a story or putting a lesson into their own words. So in a lot of education in the homeschool world, a lot of educational philosophies, narration is, as they say, the precursor to original writing. It's a very important foundational step, and I think a lot of people try to jump into having their children write coherently when they have not yet learned to narrate orally in a coherent fashion. So this is very important. This also takes time and it takes practice. I would be patient with the process, but it's something that I see as being very valuable, intentional narration practice. And the 4th strand is grammar. And there are debates about grammar for sure. Some people do not like to introduce grammar in the early elementary years. I actually really, really do. That is because I find grammar fun, but I also do find it valuable, and I have not found it to be too difficult or too overwhelming when grammar is introduced in, they say, a pleasant way right here. But the way that grammar is introduced in these books is not unpleasant. It's not unenjoyable. It's quite fun, I would say. All right, and then here's a look inside, so you can see that the lesson is very clearly scripted. I have found that I really enjoy using curriculum that has a script like this. I also don't necessarily always say everything exactly the same. I might replace it with sillier examples at times or more personal examples at times, and they do give you some encouragement to, hey, personalize this, make it your own, add in personal examples that the kids connect with, inside jokes, make it fun. And there is some humor in this that I've already seen and noticed, but you have these scripted lessons as you're introducing certain ideas. They make it very clear what you're supposed to be saying. Then you have the student workbook right alongside you that is part of the lesson. And don't worry, it is very clear when you are supposed to use different parts of the student workbook page. Like the instructions are not so much on the worksheets themselves, but the instructions are right there in the instructor's guide. So it is clear. So when you first look at this, you might be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Hunger, excitement, sadness. But they make it very clear, okay, these are idea nouns that you're learning about in this lesson. So your child is supposed to read these, and then for their exercise 2, they read this sentence and they're supposed to write in the idea noun that fits with that sentence. Then down here it says dictation exercise. They are supposed to be writing on these lines the dictation exercise right here. So here in lesson 2, here's your dictation exercise. A noun is the name of a person, place, thing, or idea, which is your memory work. And then here they give an optional follow-up, flipping through a magazine and clipping out pictures of nouns to paste onto the workbook page. So pasting on pictures of nouns, that sounds super fun. That also sounds really adaptable, that you could have your kid draw nouns or whatever kind of thing, but just kind of basic idea of getting the idea of what nouns are: a person, place, thing, or idea. So to me, I really appreciate this combination of, it's not just a workbook, there's instructor to student interaction, because I do find during these early years the great value of actually face-to-face teaching your child and not making them too independent, because then you can have that real-time synchronous interaction that where they can be asking questions, but there's also getting it down on paper. And they also give ideas for flexibility. So I believe in this exercise they were supposed to be circling all of the plural nouns, because this was a lesson on plural nouns, and then they're told to copy it. And depending on the age and ability of your child, they say right in the book, have them choose one sentence to copy, have them choose 2 sentences to copy. If they are very capable at writing, have them copy all 4 of the sentences. If they're capable writers, they can do that and get the extra practice with spelling right there from that copy work. So you're getting all 4 of these strands intertwined in each lesson. So just giving you a look here inside the book. Like so here, simple activities like this. Change a singular noun into a plural noun. And this is after we have had several lessons on, well, what if it ends in S? What if it ends in CH? What if it ends in Y? So this is exactly what we've been working on for a few lessons. Now we're mixing them all together. We're going to work on changing that to a plural noun. So it's grammar, but it's also spelling. We get proper nouns, and this is one way that it's personalized. We're putting in proper names, and here the instructor is told to write down a proper name from their family, and the student will copy each of those proper names. So they're learning to spell names from their own family. This is memory work, as we're learning to memorize all of the pronouns. And then soon I wanted to show you a poem memorization lesson. So the first poem that you memorize is The Land of Nod. And they have lessons where you, on the first time, the majority of your lesson is just reading this, discussing it, talking about certain vocabulary words, reading it a couple times, having your child read it. But then you will be prompted each day for a number of days or weeks after that to go back and read your lesson again and keep practicing that lesson. We do get some diagramming involved here, and it's not hard diagramming. I mean, look at that. It's pretty basic. We get some narration. So there's a little reading passage here, and then we get practice with narration. So just wanted to give you a little glimpse at how this works, some of the work page activities, and your scripted lessons. I have appreciated this curriculum a lot, and looking into this new level, I am excited for how it's gonna level up and excited to continue using it. They do say in here that, you know, these lessons might take half an hour a day. Looking at these lessons, and from my experience, this does not take us half an hour. These are pretty fast lessons, I would say, typically closer to 15 minutes for this level, and in the earlier levels it was probably more like 10 minutes. So maybe that's just me. I don't tend to do things very slowly. I do adapt at times. They might say repeat this 3 times, but I might say, hey, I can tell how quickly my kid is memorizing this, and I can tell how much repetition we're gonna get of this in different lessons, so maybe we'll say it once or twice, but not 3 times. So I don't necessarily do as much repetition as they give you the opportunity for, but that you have the opportunity for that repetition if you need it. All right, I hope that this look inside was very helpful for you for understanding this really cool language arts grammar curriculum. And if you have any further questions about it, do let me know. So this covers those 4 strands. You will need other elements to your elementary language arts, and you can watch my video for my curriculum choices for my 2nd grader if you want to know what different resources we are using. But until next time, I'll see you later for more nerdy homeschool videos. Bye!